tiny homes. We're not hearing as much about them. That was a phase.
It's time for the Real Estate Halftime Show. Sit back, relax, and listen to Nashville's premier inside scoop to real estate with the Mortgage Extraordinaire himself, James Harper.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on the Real Estate Halftime Show. I am James Harper at Fairway Independent Mortgage, and I have a special guest here today that I'm super excited. I've been trying to get her in the studio for a long time. She's very busy doing a lot of transactions in the real estate business, and we're going to dive into that really quickly so we can get into the meat and potatoes of why she's here today and some of the things she wants to share with you listeners out there that might help you make a buying decision or a real estate decision, because she basically works in many, many different lanes of the real estate business. So we want to welcome Amanda Bell from At Home Realty. So
thank you.
Welcome, Amanda Bell.
I appreciate you having me
Amanda
here.
Bell Williams. We have to make
Yes.
sure we get that very clear.
Yes, but you will find me listed as Amanda Bell.
There we
Amanda
go.
Bell Sales, right?
Amanda Bell Sells. So Amanda has basically been had At Home Realty since 2007.
Right.
But it been in the real estate business for 21 years. So that's a long time. Has 24 team members. I think that's great. But here's the niche. Here's the kicker. She has her brokerage in Ashland City, Tennessee.
Right.
Did you grow up there?
No, I didn't, but I have ties.
I have ties there. So what makes this unique is because Amanda has really carved out her name and her reputation for herself and her brokerage right in Ashland City, and that's really allowed her to be the queen
That's
of
what
real
they say.
estate. They say in Ashland City. So let's dive right in. Tell us why you really have gotten into this industry 21 years ago. What drives you each and every day? I know we said money. I mean, that is definitely important to all of us, but I know there's probably something else to it. And
Right.
is it the art of the deal? Is it that you just love to help people? You like the end result? What is the other passions that you have that revolve around your business?
Well, I say, and you probably don't even know this, that I didn't pick real estate; it picked me. When I was in,
I think that's true a lot.
yeah.
I didn't find the mortgage business; it found me too.
So when I was in college at MTSU, I was studying textiles, merchandising, and design, and a realtor couple, Harold and Sally Wall from Snow and Wall Realtors up there, came into where I worked, which was a restaurant up there, and they were pretty regular, and they said, hey, you should come sell real estate for us. And I said, that is not what I want to do. I'm not interested in working nights, weekends, and holidays. This is just not going to happen. So fast forward about 4 or 5 years after that, I was in a situation to where we were building a house and decided that would be a good opportunity for me to get my real estate license, but I only planned on selling what we had built, so spec homes and selling those. Life happened, and real estate became a necessity as a second income, and then it just kept going from there and became a full-time job, and now I own my own brokerage.
And so what made you, I mean, this is almost for my other podcast. I always like it when people take a chance and kind of get off the bench with life. And so you were faced with some circumstances in your life where you said, okay, I gotta survive.
Absolutely.
I got to do something that I know is going to give me the revenue I need, but also I need to jump into this and I need to make this my full-time job. Oh, well, now that I'm making it my full-time job now, okay, let's open a brokerage.
Yes.
Which is a big gamble. There's a lot of expense and startup and risk. And so what made you just kind of take that big jump?
Well, I was working real estate full-time, and I had a full-time job in Nashville, which included a job that focused more on what I went to school for. And my hours were cut to 4 hours a day. And it was 32 miles each way to drive to work. Man. And I just wasn't willing to make that drive for 4 hours a day. So I was kind of forced
that was costing you money to do that.
Exactly. So I was kind of forced to make a decision. Yeah. And since I was doing decent at real estate, it just seemed like it was the opportunity for me to try that full time. So that moved me into the full-time position. And then I got to a point where I realized that I needed an assistant. And for me, I didn't want to have an assistant and still be at another brokerage. So I prayed about it a lot. And the space that I am in, I actually looked at it for 3 different clients to lease out. And each one of them said no. And one day I woke up and I said, this space is meant for me, and I've been there ever since. So it's been a great opportunity, but I don't do anything without prayer first. I mean, that's just the way it's meant to happen for me.
Well, I think also when you're passionate, it getting up for work just seems a lot easier, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, when you're just passionate about what you do and you love what you do, that's a driver in itself. You just wake up, and I mean, for me, I've never, I fell into the mortgage business. It found me. I'm engineer by degree, and I was in the automotive industry. Long story, but when I started doing the mortgage business, the mortgage industry, I mean, I just loved getting up and doing it. Mm-hmm. I mean, some people think that's crazy or whatever, but when you find something that you really like to do, it doesn't seem hard to do.
No, it doesn't at all.
I mean, you have bad days.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I have to say that I feel like real estate is very emotional. For me, it's much harder to disappoint my client for a deal to fall through than it is to think about the commission that I'm losing. Am I happy about losing the commission? Absolutely not. But the devastation of my client is always more important, and that in itself causes emotional turmoil for me because it's, I'm feeling the sadness or the pain or the angry that my client is feeling because I care. I genuinely care about what's going on in their life.
And when you care, you figure out a way to solve problems. Do you feel like you're a good problem solver?
I feel like I am for the most part.
I think you have to be.
Yeah, I mean, you do. I explain to people that real estate transactions are basically relationships, and it requires a lot of communication, and it requires also a lot of hard truths. Sometimes not so pleasant conversations about where you need to be versus where you are, or trying to extract information that your client may be feeling, but, scared to say one way or the other, because ultimately it's your job to protect your client, and you need all of that information.
I think that is very well said. I mean, setting the right expectations on the real estate side of the transaction or on the lending side of the transaction, setting the right expectations up front, communicating through that, extracting the information you need so that we can really get to the root cause or the root common denominator of what we need to be able to move forward. I think that's still tough for a lot of people in the real estate business. I think it's lending or on the actual real estate side of it. So let's jump into a little bit more about some of the lanes that you're in.
I got a whole interstate going on.
That is awesome. I love that because if you, there are a lot of realtors out there that are simply just residential. They may be just commercial. They may just specialize in land. But you're doing a little bit of it all at your brokerage, including you personally. So tell us what you do in the lanes that you're in.
Well, one of the things that I've been most proud of is the fact that I have never restricted myself to one segment of the market. It's a lot easier to do because I'm not in a metropolitan area. Nashville, I feel like the markets are very defined and your role within those markets is very defined. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes on the larger teams, it's even defined more, like you're a listing agent or you're a buyer's agent. We don't do that at my office, and I don't do that for my own business. So, yes, I have a brokerage. I have 24 agents underneath me, but we are all independent. None of us are teams. Like, I have a team, but my team is 2 administrative staff. So I don't have a buyer's agent. I don't have a listing agent because I feel like
that's different.
it is.
It is different.
Because I feel like when clients contact me, they want to work with me, not Joe or Sally or whoever else, is on this massive team. So I try to make sure that I cover 95% of my appointments. There are times when I can't make my own appointments. My husband also has his real estate license, and he'll show for me on occasion, but that's about it. Or maybe another agent in the office. But other than that, I do it all. The residential, new construction, foreclosures, land, commercial sales, commercial leasing, property management, HOA management. We have our hands in just about everything. I guess instead of calling us an office, you could probably call us a firm. But, again, we're not big city. We're small town. And that's one of the things that I've been most proud about is that the things that I've been able to accomplish and the awards and accommodations that I've received, we are not backed by a national brand, and we are not in a metropolitan area. So for me to have accomplished those things without that, that's
amazing.
That's the biggest thing. That's the most exciting thing for me.
I think it's amazing. I was actually just telling my operations manager, I said, I love the concept of being in a small town kind of feel. We have several branches within Fairway that are doing really, really well in small towns because you get that connection, you get that trust, you get that being there and that feeling of being at home. No pun intended.
Well, I think there's more transparency in small towns. People can see you outside of your profession. They see what you're doing for the community, or they see how you act, in a personal atmosphere versus just professional. Sometimes there's a drastic difference between those two, and you may not like how somebody acts while they're in a personal situation. So to be able to do business with people that are well-rounded and that care about the community as much as you do or have similar hobbies or whatever, I think that's more transparent in a small town.
Yeah, and I really say this in all sincerity. I mean, we had a branch in Cookeville for a while that during COVID we had to shut down, but I really like that feel of being in a small town. So you never know, we may show up in Ashland City one of these days. So do you find yourself in really just concentrating in that certain mile radius?
Oh,
do you
no.
ever go to Nashville?
Absolutely.
What's your percentage of balance there?
Well, I'm originally from East Nashville. I tell people I was born there and raised there before it was cool to live there. I've lived on just about every side of Nashville. I went to college in Murfreesboro. I try to keep my services within an hour and a half of Nashville. Now, occasionally...
All right, so how far is Ashland City from Nashville? Because sometimes people think we're in Kentucky and we're in Hendersonville.
So Ashland City, depending on what side of Nashville, literally if you went from Nashville zip code to downtown Ashland City, you are 10 minutes, believe it or not. Yeah.
I did not know that.
You are 15 minutes from downtown Ashland City to Briley Parkway. You're about 25, 30 minutes to downtown Nashville, depending on what time of day you go.
I feel stupid. I felt like it was like 30, 40 minutes away.
And you know what else?
What?
We don't have any traffic.
Yet. It's probably coming your way.
There's a lot of good things going on in Ashland City, and I'm so blessed to be a part of it. And my dad was from Cheatham County, which is one of the reasons why I have felt so much at home there. Born and raised in East Nashville, but my grandmother lived in the country in Cheatham County, and it's just always felt more like home.
Well, let's go on to something else that I wanted to bring up before we break away here. There's lots of different topics out there. Why buy now versus buy later? Certainly that's going around social media. What are some of the other things that you feel like people need to know?
Well, one of the topics
that's going on in the industry today.
Yeah. So one of the topics that I'm hearing more about is, some people have chosen to make modifications to their homes instead of buying something new. And I think one of the things that they have to keep in mind is that your house may be worth more than what you're insured for. I'll remember when we built our first house, the appraised value was for what our loan was for. And then when we completed the house, it was actually worth about $60,000 more than what our prior appraisal was, which was fine, except for the fact that we couldn't get extra insurance to cover the actual replacement value. Now, I know we never like to pay more bills, but if something tragic happens, like the tornado, we need to make sure that we have enough insurance. So it's so important for people to remember that as you're making these major modifications to your home, that you get a new appraisal and turn that over to your insurance company so that you're going to have replacement value, because that could be very different from where you're at versus where you need to be.
Very good. And I never really thought about that, but probably majority of people do not do that, right? I mean,
no.
They're not getting a new appraisal done after they get those rehab renovations done, or some kind of enhancement to their home. So what else? What else is going on that you feel like people out there in the public need to know? What has happened recently, or what do you feel is going on as a trend that you would like people to know about?
Well, I think that we're seeing more and more people build barndominiums. We know why people build barndominiums.
Why is that?
Because you get more for less. You get more square footage for less money. And
because of the construction
aspect of it. And that's fine. If you'll remember tiny homes, we're not hearing as much about them, but that was a phase. And I'm all for people having what they want. I just want people to remember that trends like that come and go, and that if you're planning on being there long term, that may be one thing. But if you think that it's going to be shorter, like 5 or 6 years, that it may be more difficult to sell in the long run.
Do you deal much with engineered homes?
Manufactured homes?
Well, no, actually, they're still stick built.
Oh, the modulars. The true modulars.
Yes, true modulars. Sorry, that's the proper word.
Well, there's a lot of agents that don't know the difference between a modular and a manufactured.
True statement.
Yeah, so I have in the past. Because I've been doing this for a long time. I would say probably 1 or 2% of my business ever has been a true modular. There's been a lot of opportunities where it might be listed as a modular and it's not. So you just kind of have to educate everybody involved and make sure that you have your loan set up correctly. But a true modular is treated just like a site-built home.
Yeah, in fact, they're probably constructed better because they're engineered together in sections within the manufacturing plant, and then brought out and put together like a puzzle.
Yes. Did you know that is the way habitat homes are built?
Yeah.
I didn't know that until recently.
I did know that. Yeah, we're involved with the habitat a little bit, and so we actually are trying to get to be on one of the teams coming up here in the spring, so we're pretty excited about that.
Well, we can make that happen in Cheatham too.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay,
let's do it. I'm serious. I would like to do that. I think it's just an ultimate charity giveaway, and really got to be totally gratifying and satisfying to help someone out like that.
Absolutely,
it's so cool, so cool. All right, so how do people get a hold of you?
Well,
how do they get a hold of you? How can I call Amanda or reach out to Amanda Bell Williams at Home Realty?
Oh, a variety of ways. So,
let's do it.
Office is 615-792-6100.
Yes.
Cell phone 615-406-9988.
Bam.
All of my tags for social media are A. Lee Bell, ALEABELL 124. So you can find me on TikTok, you can find me on Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook as well.
Yes, and this particular episode of the Real Estate Halftime Show will be posted on YouTube at the Real Estate Halftime Show. We now have that channel. So go there, subscribe, anybody that's listening, so we can get more educational content out there for you. Amanda Bell Williams here at Home Realty is with us today. We thank you for coming in.
Thank
we appreciate
you.
all the input that you've given us, and we look forward to working with you more in the future and giving more content to our listeners.
Well, 2024 is going to be better than this year.
It has to be. It has to be, and I tell you what, I'm not ready to wish my life away, but I'm ready for this year to be over.
Me too.
Well, thank you for coming in. We
Thanks.
appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
Great. Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.